Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, and that means it's time for me to take a CD out of my collection and make a poster out of it. Today I'm thinking more along the lines of like a concert poster, so like the tour that actually supports this particular album, and that could get very interesting because there are a lot of legendary albums and then there's a lot of albums by bands that just went nowhere, so it might actually end up being kind of funny depending on what the randomizer picks. Before we get started, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future content. Now, let's head over to the randomizer. Alright, so here I am at the randomizer, and I'm going to paste my CD collection in here, and we're going to pick a random album. So it's MBV by My Bloody Valentine. Let me go grab that. So here it is right here, MBV by My Bloody Valentine. And I gotta be honest, sometimes there are days where I prefer this over Loveless.
Heresy!
But it's just such a fantastic album, and in my opinion, I actually really like the opening track on this one better than the opening track on Loveless. It's just a beautiful sounding song. She Found Now is just a great song. So anyway, so what I'm thinking is something along the lines of a concert poster, like a tour poster and everything, and I think that would actually be really fun to do for this album. Purple is one of my favorite colors, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so just for reference, I grabbed the album cover and I've got it dropped right here into Illustrator. So as you can see, like the album cover, when you look at it up close, has really, really cool textures on it. It's easier to see on the screen rather than the actual printed product here. But this really cool collage of all these different pictures and everything. And then of course it's got the MBV laid on top of that. So I don't want to cheat and just go out and find like a larger version of this image. So what I'm thinking is I'll probably keep it nice and simple while, you know, finishing up some of the final effects in Photoshop or something like that. I'm thinking of probably using the same font that they are using here, which is Cable Black. And so to my knowledge, I don't know if My Bloody Valentine did like an actual tour based on this particular album when it came out. I know that they have toured since releasing this album, but I'm just gonna kind of wing it and just kind of see what I can do. So I found this Rolling Stones poster right here, and it's got all these different tour dates and everything. So I think that what I'll do is I'll just grab those cities right there and then just drop them in here. Alright, so now that I've got these, I'm just going to group each one of these together so that I can place them exactly where I want them. So we'll just do like 1.5 inches in and then go over here and deselect this, back it off by 1.5 inches, and then grab all three of them and then make sure that Align to Selection is selected, and then we can just distribute evenly. So there we go. The text is running into like it's kind of running into each other a little bit. It's fine though. It's a little bit It's a little bit close, but it's fine. It's fine with me to have them be that close to each other. So now we're just gonna grab all of it and then align to the artboard and then center it, okay? So this one right here, how we have this is I'm going to probably push it down by about an inch. I think that looks good. And then I'll just kind of use this as a reference for you know, just some other things that we'll just kind of place at the bottom of the poster. So we'll just say like MBV.com. Just put that right in the center. That looks good. The placement looks good there. Go like that for the color. And I'll just go grab the Ticketmaster logo real quick. All right, so I think what I'll do here is, since we have a little bit too much empty space down here, I'll just kind of move. We'll just kind of move this down, and then we'll just make that the vertical piece of that image taller. I'm going to be placing the image once we get into Photoshop. All right, so we have the structure of everything right here done in Illustrator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of it, and we're going to go into Photoshop and apply some of our final effects. All right, so we're in here in Photoshop, and what I'm going to do here is I've got everything pasted all together, and the reason why I do that is because I can go back here, grab this black box, paste it in place. That way I know exactly where I'm putting it. I am putting it in the correct place, so I will go in and just kind of zoom in right here to make sure that the placement is correct, because this black box is actually going to be our placeholder for the image that we're going to be dropping in. And what we're going to do is we're going to mask it to that black box. Okay, so now what we can do is go in here, select everything except for the black box and the background, and we'll just kind of bring in those individual things. So what I like to do is I like to separate things by size, because we're going to be applying some Gaussian blurs here. So I'd like to grab these right here, paste those as smart objects. Those are similar in size, at least similar enough for the effects that we're going to be doing. And then these two elements can definitely go in together. And then the smaller elements we'll want to apply a lesser amount of Gaussian blur to them, because just because they're smaller. Okay, so now we can go in and delete this structure right here. So now everything is, for the most part, separated. So like a good designer, I always label my layers, and I promise that I do. It's not just for the purposes of the video. I always name my layers. All right, so now I've got photo, large text, medium text, small text. So I am going to put these in order. Right here, large text appears first, photo appears next, medium text, and then small text. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab that image that I found of them, and the reason I chose this image of the band, let me find it, is because of that purplish blue balloon that they've got going on here. I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but it matches the poster very well. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip this to my black box, and then just expand this image right here. So I think that is looking very cool right there. And I'd like to try a few different things, just kind of experiment. So I am going to speed this portion of the video up. All right, so just in my Bloody Valentine's music, how they have layers and layers and layers of guitars, I wanted to add a lot of layers of all kinds of different visual effects here, just to kind of help, you know, visualize what their music sounds like in a poster. So obviously it's a lot more noisy than this, but you have to be able to read the poster. But I do like, so the first thing that I tried here was to, I applied the threshold effect right here to the actual image of all of them. But I wanted to mask out that balloon right there and actually have that to be like, you know, like a photograph. So I just put a mask. I just put an actual mask on the threshold layer, and then just colored out where the balloon is. So now I'm going to group all of my effects together just so I can have them all in one place. And now that we've got all of these effects here, I was going to do the Gaussian blurs earlier, but I actually wanted to save them until after all of the effects have been laid on top of the art so that you could actually see the end result of it as I do it. So as we do the large text right here applying the Gaussian blur, you'll see that like when we do something like, you know, between a 3 and a 5, is generally pretty good for that. So probably gonna go with 3. As you can see right here, the way that this is actually doing this, it's actually blending into the background and all of those different textures. So rather than just clean, crisp, and sharp text, we've got it actually blending into the poster. So, and you can kind of achieve, you know, depending on the colors, you can kind of achieve like a similar effect going in here when you blend it with the underlying layer. So as you can see, like, you know, it is kind of bright, and we've also got like the background working against us a little bit. But when we come over here and just kind of bring that over here to this side, you could also blend this layer with it. But you know, there's all kinds of options that you can do, but you can just kind of help to blend it a little bit more into the background, and that's in your layer style window. So, and we are working with a lot of different things right now, so the computer is probably just, you know, it's like I'm trying everything that I can here. But as you can see right here, this is actually going to allow a lot of that background texture to show through this text right here. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. So and remember, like, because it's on the same layer, it's going to do the same thing to this text down here. So whenever you're doing stuff like that, just make sure that you're paying attention to the layers that it's actually affecting. So now we're just going to go in here to the medium text and apply the Gaussian blur. And since it's a smaller one, I'll probably keep it like around 3, maybe like a 2, something like that, to make sure that it stays nice and legible. And then we'll go in here to the blending and see what we can do. Okay, it's definitely too much. We want it to show through a little bit, but not too much. And let's go all the way over here and see what this does. Okay, I'm actually pretty happy with that. So that looks good. And then we'll do the same thing here. That poor American Express logo looks like it's been destroyed, but that's fine though. All right, so we'll go into our small text and apply a Gaussian blur, probably just like a 1 or maybe a 1.5. You can actually do like halves right there. So I think 1.5 is good. And this is fine, you know, like if this were a real poster, if I were actually, you know, designing this for a commission piece, I wouldn't leave this like this. I would actually go in and probably mask that out like through the effects and everything, and just kind of make sure that that American Express logo is showing very clearly. But for the purposes of this video and this poster, I'm totally fine with it. All right, so let's go into here, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just I'll do like a smaller amount on this one, just, you know, just to kind of just because it's smaller. So gonna make sure that we don't pick on the little guy too much. All right, that looks good. And now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna add just a final layer of overall grain, because I like to do that. So we'll go to camera raw filter right here. And for this one, I'm thinking probably we're going to crank it all the way up to 100. And the roughness, I'd like it to be a little bit on the rougher side. And then the size around 50. And then we'll actually do a vignette here, but probably not that much. Maybe like a negative 15. I think will look just fine. So let's zoom all the way in so we can kind of see what these final effects are going to look like as we apply the overlay, if we use overlay. I think overlay is good. However, you know, sometimes like soft light will get you a little bit more detail depending. Sometimes it'll give you a little bit less detail. Color dodge is very interesting, but I think it's going to blow out the poster. So let's take a look here. Yeah, it's definitely too bright for my taste. So I think we're going to play around with some different layer styles here. Most of the time it's either going to be overlay or soft light, what I'll end up going with. So just kind of see what else everything does. Vivid light is interesting, although it is really turning up the grain there, and we can go into 100% view and you can see what's going on. And it actually is darkening it just a little bit too much. So I think we're going to go with soft light instead of overlay, because overlay is allowing a little bit too much of the grain in, but soft light is really channeling the rest of it out. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to go into our image right here, and I want to at least see if there's anything that we can do. Let's go to the actual threshold effect, and let's see if we can do like a Gaussian blur on it, and see what it's going to look like there. Actually, we probably have to go into here, don't we? Okay, so applying that Gaussian blur is definitely going to take away a lot of that detail in their faces. But I want that detail to remain there. So I'll probably just leave it the way it is. Although I think that's enough, but I still want to be able to see the whites in their eyes. Okay, so I think we're just going to leave it just like this. So here it is, my Bloody Valentine MBV tour for this album right here. If I hold it up next to the screen right there, it actually looks really good next to each other. So there it is, and there it is.
There it is.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching me make this poster. It was a lot of fun to make it. If you learned anything in Photoshop or Illustrator, let me know what it is down in the comments below. I'd love to hear stuff like that. Stay tuned for the next video where I'll take a movie out of my movie collection and make a poster out of that. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and also click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Thanks a lot for watching, and thank you for all you subscribers out there. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.